Hello there, and welcome to another of Andre's Artist Profiles. Now, this is going to require a little bit of a history lesson, at least my history with this particular artist. When I was about 22 years old, my father picked up a collection of political songs from the 80s, and one of them was a hip-hop electro song that utilized a lot of sound samples and the kind of early uses of sampling, and it was called 19. Basically, it was about people in their late teens, early adulthood in the Vietnam War who were drafted. It was a protest song, and the artist was a man named Paul Hardcastle. Now, flash forward 10 years later, my friend Thomas Carley, shout out to you, informed me about a Facebook page that he had created called Paul Hardcastle Radio. And when I purchased his album at the beginning of this year, which I'll be getting to in a few minutes, I became really entranced with his sound, and it became a conversational point between me and Mr. Carley. So Thomas Carley and myself essentially became friends over, among many other musics, that of Mr. Paul Hardcastle here. Now, from 19 on, Paul Hardcastle, a English multi-instrumentalist, actually has created this very unique sound that mixes pop, jazz, funk, and ambient electronic music. And Thomas Carley actually has an excellent word for it. I'm not sure if he invented the word, but it's called chill. And it's a great name because I don't like the name smooth jazz, as you know, and pop jazz, and it doesn't quite fit Paul Hardcastle's music, but the term chill really does it justice. Now, the earliest album I have by him is on the JVC label, an excellent record called The Jazz Masters 2. This came out in 1995. Excellent record. The next one I have is The Jazz Masters 3. The Jazz Masters being a group of vocalists that Paul Hardcastle assembled from 1999. Paul Hardcastle has a lot of similarly themed albums with similarly themed kind of tropical photographic artwork on the cover, which are all really excellent. I mean, I could have a whole collection basically based on Paul Hardcastle. I mean, the more I hear of him, the more I like what he does and the hybridizing of music he creates. And we move on to this. This is an album that I actually got into this year as I got into his newer material, which I'll get to after this, Paul Hardcastle 6. Another wonderful album in that mixture of funk and ambient electronic that I talked about. There's some really beautiful ambient soundscapes on here. He's a wonderful electronic keyboard arranger. And there's some wonderful, up-tempo funk songs on this album here that wouldn't be out of place on an album by Jeff Lorber or the Crusaders, even, for that matter, or somebody like that. Largely instrumental. This is the album that really got me into Paul Hardcastle this year, 7. I love the first song, The Truth Shall Set You Free. I'm sorry, I've played this so much this year, the case is actually broken. I need to get that replaced. This is going to be on my album list of the year as well. The Truth Shall Set You Free, I love it. He's never stopped making songs with political content, and he even samples Marvin Gaye's vocal line from What's Going On this album, and mixes it with kind of an ambient electronic background, reharmonizes it. Beautiful. Wonderful, wonderful album. And since Paul Hardcastle is good enough to release 2 albums a year, he put this album out not too long ago called The Chill Lounge. It's not quite as powerful as the Paul Hardcastle 7 album, but it's still in that great style that he has. So I'm just saying in a measure. All these albums are wonderful. They're almost flawless, but this is maybe just a tad knocked down in quality from 7. But Paul Hardcastle is really incapable right now of doing anything of low quality. He has such a good sense of taste and musicality. So that's what I have for Paul Hardcastle. It's his birthday today, so I'm wishing him a very happy birthday. And keep doing what you're doing and expanding on it. I love your sound. This is Andre signing out, and I will see you next time.